Hi, I'm Bobby, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my December TBR. So I'm going to start today's video with a quick wrap up from November. Basically, it went terribly. I finished one book, and that book was on October's TBR. Apart from that, I haven't finished any other books. I read a little over half of Hollowpox. I also had these three physical books: Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, 20s Girl by Sophie Kinsella, and Beyond a Darkened Shore by Jessica Leek. I didn't touch these books, not once this month. It was pretty bad. I also had 4 ebooks on my TBR last month. I was going to finish A Gathering of Shadows, which I didn't manage. I had The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I read about 10 or 20%. I had City of Brass, which I read maybe 10 pages. I had Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I read about 10%. And The Flat Share, which I didn't even look at. So all in all, it was a really bad reading month for me. I just didn't feel like reading anything, to be honest. So in December, I plan on finishing Hollowpox. I'm currently on page 280 out of about 470. So I'm definitely over halfway, but there's still a long way to go. I also plan on finishing A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I'm currently about 40% through this book. I just haven't been able to concentrate on it recently. It might be because I recently got Netflix, and that's taken up all my time. All my time. But it's fine, we'll get through it. As for the other two that I started, Jekyll and Hyde and Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I might finish them, but maybe not this year. I might save them for next year and just give myself a little bit of a break from them. They weren't the most interesting books that I've read, and they weren't really holding my attention at the time, but it might be because I'm going in and out of reading slumps this year. Which brings me on to my next point. So for 2020, my GoodReads reading goal was to read 50 books. It is the last few days of November, and I'm currently on 37 books. There is no chance that I am ever going to read 13 books in 1 month. The best I've ever done was during lockdown this year. I had 2 months off work. I read, I think, 9 books in April and 8 books in May. That's the best I could do when I had no work and nothing else to do. So really, 13 books in a busy month, that's not going to happen. So, the GoodReads reading goal is completely out of the window. This year has not been my best reading year. I've been going from slump to slump like every few weeks, and it's been kind of stressful for my reading. Like, it's putting me off reading a little bit. So I'm gonna take December nice and gently, and we'll just see how we go. There was no pressure. No pressure at all. However, I'm still gonna add one punishment for December because I didn't complete November's roles. But if I don't complete all the books, I'm just gonna start fresh in the new year. On the other hand, I have only about 14 days of work during December because of the week off at Christmas, and I've got about 3 days annual leave in the middle, so I'm not actually working a full week during December. So that'll be helpful. I should have quite enough time to do some reading. I might actually be able to finish something this month, which will be good. Very good. So, with that in mind, let's get on with the game. So here's the board. My counter is ready on middle grade, where it finished last month. And because I added so many more cards to my stack of challenge cards, I'm just going to give these a quick shuffle. Okay, and now we are ready to go. So I am going to have 6 rolls to begin with, and we will just have to see where it goes from there. So for my first roll, we have a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a challenge card straight away. So my first challenge card says red on the cover. So for my first roll this month I landed on Challenge Card, which gave me a book with a red cover. And for this one I've chosen The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Now, this is mostly red all over the back and the spine, even if the front is mostly gold. This is a book I've had since 2013. I'm only ever managed to read, was this 20 pages? 22 pages. In 7 years, I've read 22 pages of this book. This is a story about Greek heroes falling in love, and is definitely like a male-male romance, and that is basically the main premise of this book. I originally bought this due to peer pressure. Not even joking. My friend kind of bullied me into buying it. But that's fine because I still need to read this book, so that's going to happen this month. My second roll is a 1, which is a middle grade. For my second roll I landed on middle grade, and for this one I have chosen Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Now, I know this was on my TBR for last month and I did not get to it, but it is a really short book, and as it is a children's book it is going to be quite easy to read, and I'm hoping that will help me to actually read it. This book makes it look like it's long. There is quite a big introduction and then notes at the back about how it was written or information about it and stuff, which could be quite interesting. But the story itself is only a couple of 100 pages, so it's not too long at all. This is also one of the books on my 2020 priority list, and I have so many of those books on this list. I think Song of Achilles was also on this list, and I'm putting in as many of these as I can for this month because I have only read 2 or 3 of them so far this year. But I've been wanting to read this book all year and I haven't. For my third roll, it's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that shade of blue is a graphic novel. For my third roll I landed on graphic novel, and for this one I have chosen Fables, Volume 1. This is a book about fairy tale characters living in a world together, and I don't really know the premise of the story. I tried reading this back in 2011, maybe 2012, and I didn't get very far with it. I wasn't really into graphic novels at the time and it was very new to me, but it does sound like a really interesting concept with all the different fairy tale characters sort of interacting with each other, and I'm still really interested by the story and I want to give it a second chance. So that's a short read that I will hopefully be able to get to very soon. Roll number 4 is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Light green, which is a sci-fi. For my fourth roll I landed on sci-fi, and for this one I have chosen The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy Book 1 by Douglas Adams, and this book has been on at least 3 TBRs so far this year. I was going to read it during lockdown for the, what was it, Magical Readathon, OWLs back in April. I didn't get to it, but that's fine. It's about 180 pages, it's really short, and it was on my 2020 priority list, so I really ought to get to this book. I was gifted this back in maybe 2012, and I think I've tried reading it before, but I didn't get very far at all, and I don't really remember anything that happened. This is about a human man who meets an alien man, and they befriend, well, I guess a man. They might not have genders. They, from what I can tell, go on an adventure through space. But I don't really know. And it's supposed to be, like, it's a really famous book, and it's supposed to be so popular and I think it's about time I get to it. My 5th roll is a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We passed go, so we have to add an extra roll. And that light purple is a contemporary. Roll number 5, I landed on contemporary, and for this one I've chosen another one of my 2020 priorities, and that is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I'm not sure if it's a children's or a young adult's book, but it's really popular and I've been meaning to read this for years. Like, I don't even know how long I've owned this book, but I've been meaning to read this for a very long time. It's about a young boy who I believe has some sort of facial disfigurement, and he is starting school for the first time, or first time in a long time maybe, I'm not sure. And this is just about his experience through that. I don't really know any more than that. I know there's a film about it that I've not seen. But yeah, it's supposed to be really popular. It was on my 2020 priority. It should be a quick read because it's for younger readers. I think it's middle grade, I'm not sure. But it should be quite fun. And I think if I don't read it this month, then I might just get rid of it, because otherwise I'm probably not going to get to it. I've been putting it off for so many years now. But we'll see. So for roll number 6 is a 2. 1, 2, that is dark blue, which is a fantasy. For my 6th roll I landed on fantasy, and for this book I've chosen Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is a young adult fantasy that was really hyped a few years ago, and it was on my 2020 priority list for the year. So, this is about a race of people who have had their magic stolen from them ages ago, and it follows 2 young girls as they go on a quest to retrieve that power. I don't really know a lot more than that, but I am very interested in this book. It is a bit longer than the other books I've got on my TBR this month, so it might take me a little longer to read, but I am very intrigued by this book, and I don't know, I've been putting it off for a little while. I don't think I'm intimidated by it, but I think I'm worried that if I don't like it, people will judge me badly. So I've been putting it off for a little while. And then my 7th and final roll is a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 9. 2 times challenge card. So that means taking 2 cards from here. So the first one says a letter generator for the author's name, and the second one says own voices. And for my 7th and final roll I landed on 2 times challenge card. And the 2 challenge cards I chose were letter generator for choosing an author and own voices. So I have my letter generator here. I'm going to press the button 3 times, and whatever it lands on is going to be my letter of choice. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. That is an L. I need an author whose first name or surname starts with the letter L. So I did the letter generator the other day when I was doing my rolls, and I landed on the letter L. So for the letter L I have chosen Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I'll be honest, I don't really know anything about this story at all, but it is, I've heard, very popular, and it's supposed to be really fun. I read another book by Liane Moriarty earlier this year, which was 9 Perfect Strangers. I really enjoyed that story. The writing was so good. I wasn't a great fan of the ending, but the rest of the story was very, very good, and I am hoping for good things from this book too. So I do have this book on my Kindle, so I don't have it to show you, but I will probably read it whilst commuting this month, as it's easier for me to read ebooks on the train. I don't think it's a particularly long story, but it should be really good. For the second challenge card, I picked Own Voices, and for this one I've chosen Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. This is his memoir about his experience with mental health, and I will just say there are trigger warnings for depression, mental illness in general, anxiety, suicide, self-harm, that kind of thing. Just be very cautious with this if any of those might trigger you or anything similar to that might trigger you. So I bought this book 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember I started reading it on the train home, but I put it down when I got home and never read any more of it. From what I did read, it was really interesting, and as a memoir it is a very personal story and is very emotional to read. Even from the 40 pages I have read so far. As you might know from previous videos, I've mentioned that I do struggle with mental health. This book has interested me for a little while as it's something that I feel I can relate to. I definitely think it is important to learn about other people's experiences with mental health. It can help you to find different ways to cope, or just to make you feel like you are not alone. And that is the main reason I have picked up this book. So this isn't a very long book at all, and I'm really hoping that it's going to be very easy for me to read, even if it's quite emotional. So these are the books I've chosen for this month, plus one ebook. I have to say I am a little intimidated by the number of books I have to read, but I am not going to put too much pressure on myself this month because I just want to rest and just get my enjoyment and enthusiasm back for reading for the new year. So I think my priority for this month will be to finish reading Hollowpox and finish A Gathering of Shadows. After that I'm going to go for the graphic novel and then just work my way through the shorter books. Like I said, I am not putting any pressure on myself this month. I just want to be ready to start fresh in January for the new year. Hopefully I will get through quite a few of these books, but I am no longer bothered about reaching my Goodreads goal for the year. So that's my last TBR for 2020. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books, and tell me what you're going to be reading this month. I would love to know. In the description below I have got my Twitter, Goodreads and Instagram links, and I hope you check them out. So I have plans for some end of year videos, some wrap ups and that kind of thing. I will also be doing a video on my goals for 2021, which I hope I will be better at completing than I was for this year. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!